Mr. Prime Minister, nice to see you, sir.
Good to see you, Greta.
Mr. Prime Minister, we spoke shortly after October 7th. I was in Israel. It's now been about 642 days since those hostages were first taken. A number are still there. Can you tell me anything about their condition and what it's been like for them?
Well, it's been hell. We had 255 hostages that were taken, grandmothers and their grandchildren, Holocaust survivors, babies. They murdered quite a few of them. But we got most of them out. We got 205 out, 147 of them alive. We have 50 left, 20 definitely alive, and some 30 that are not alive. And I want to take them all out. We now have a deal that supposedly will get half of the living and half of the dead out. And so we'll have 10 living left and about 12 deceased hostages. But I'll get them out too. I hope we can complete it in a few days.
You know, as I hear you talk about we're going to get half of them out, and I think to myself, the first thing is the cruelty of Hamas, which, I mean, of course, you know that, everybody knows it, but the idea is that they're using these humans as they have historically, and they're only giving them half, and they've been 642 days, and making them suffer and their families.
Well, they're monsters. I mean, what they do to them, and the stories we get are horrible. So, obviously, we are. It's not easy for us when we're doing it. We'll probably have a 60-day ceasefire, get the first batch out, and then use the 60 days to try to negotiate an end to this. And this could end tomorrow. Today, Hamas lays down its arms, okay? We eliminate it as a fighting force and a governing force in Gaza that oppresses its people, targets our people, our civilians, and uses their civilians as human shields. And then they complain that the civilian losses are because of us. No, we say to the civilians, leave. Leave the war zone. We send them text messages, telephone calls, millions, pamphlets. And Hamas says, you don't go. You try to leave the war zone, we'll shoot you. And they shoot them because they want the pictures of dead civilians that they are causing put on Israel's head. And that's what you get in TikTok and the social media. Israel is deliberately killing civilians. No, we're not. Hamas is deliberately killing its own people, preventing them from escaping the war zone. So they're monsters. And what they've taken hostages. Who else has taken hostages? Well, how about the Iranian regime? The Islamist regime, when they first formed their vile tyranny, what's the first thing they did? They took American hostages in the American embassy. Remember that?
In 1979.
Yeah, well, this is part of the Iranian doctrine. This is part of the Iranian evil axis. They take hostages. They try to extort with blackmail, terror, and intimidation the free societies like Israel and the United States. And we face them down and we'll beat them. We just did.
Well, it's an easy answer to end this for Hamas. First of all, I shouldn't have done it on October 7th. That's for starters. Secondly, had they surrendered, if they surrendered, but they won't surrender. Well, they don't surrender.
You think so? There are Palestinians now who are fighting Hamas. Because we weakened them to this point, we see something that never happened before. Okay? Palestinians in Gaza are fighting Hamas. Palestinians in Gaza are defying Hamas. Palestinians in Gaza are saying, we don't want them. We don't want to be tyrannized and subjugated by these monsters. Well, that didn't happen before. And we think we can bring it to completion. So I wouldn't tell you that we have a war goal that is unachievable. Nobody believed we could do what we did to Iran. Nobody believed that President Trump and I would cooperate in this extraordinary way and get the full might of America, its extraordinary pilots, the full might of our brave soldiers, our brave pilots joined together, and look what we accomplished. So I tell you, it's not just a way of speaking, a manner of speaking. We're going to defeat these monsters, and we'll get our hostages back.
You mentioned President Trump. You have been prime minister through a lot of presidents: President Clinton, President Bush, President Obama, President Biden, President Trump. Now, is it different for you personally? Is it different for Israel?
It's extraordinary. We've never had such a friend, such a supporter of Israel, the Jewish state, in the White House. President Trump has been, what can I tell you, tremendous. I mean, and the cooperation is tremendous. Look at what our cooperation produces. Look at what happens when there's no daylight between an American president and an Israeli prime minister. We roll back the greatest threat to our common to both our countries. Iran is trying to build nuclear weapons. We stopped it in the nick of time. Those nuclear weapons were to be equipped on ballistic missiles that certainly wreak havoc in Israel now without nuclear weapons. But they're aimed to be intercontinental ballistic missiles that could reach this city, this house, and New York, and Philadelphia, and Miami, and Mar-a-Lago. They actually put a price on President Trump's head and mine. Did you see this? Mm-hmm. This is what happened in the last 2 days. And issued a religious fatwa, a decree that says that we have to be assassinated. These are enemies of the United States. Iran says death to America, death to Israel. America is the great Satan, Israel is the small Satan, but we stand in their way. They want to develop the means of mass death, atomic bombs, and the means to deliver them to every theater near you. That's what they're trying to do. And we stopped them. We rolled back this grave menace to our survival by a regime that has these monstrous proxies like Hamas and Hezbollah, whom we beat too.
And the Houthis.
And the Houthis, we haven't finished. We've got a job to do. But I can tell you that America started something. We'll finish it. And I think the important thing is to understand that what we're doing is achieving a common doctrine that President Trump and I both hold to. It's called peace through strength. First comes strength, then comes the peace. And just as we cooperated on getting the Abraham Accords, peace between Israel and 4 Arab countries, now after the victory over Iran, we'll need to, A, maintain that victory, prevent Iran from trying again to restart nuclear weapons from scratch, but we have to prevent them, but also move to realize the potential for peace in our region, because of our victory, because of our strength. Peace through strength. There are several countries waiting in the wings. We're working on making those peace agreements possible.
Syria is a possibility, maybe. Syria, I mean, has Syria changed? Or is there a likelihood of that? I mean, that certainly has had a change since in the last 6 months.
Well, Syria and Lebanon were both governed basically by Iran and its proxies. Hafez Assad, a dictator, horrible dictator in Syria, and Hezbollah in Lebanon. We defeated Hezbollah. We eliminated Nasrallah, their murderous and fanatic leader. That collapsed Lebanon and enabled a change of government for the first time in decades. And it also collapsed the Assad regime because Hezbollah was supporting Assad. It wasn't that there was a Syrian army. There wasn't. Every time Assad faced his enemies inside Syria and he was in distress, it wasn't his soldiers that were fighting. It was Hezbollah. Nasrallah would send thousands of Hezbollah fighters to rescue Assad. So when we took out Nasrallah, we actually collapsed the Assad regime. And that collapsed the Iranian noose of death around us. They had these proxies around us that were supposed to invade us simultaneously. And that didn't happen. So now they saw, okay, we can't eliminate Israel with the noose of death because we broke the axis of terror. So let's rush to nuclear weapons. That's why we had to act in time.
What took so long?
For them?
No, for you. I mean, this is not, it isn't like Israel got into a dangerous neighborhood on October 7th of 2023. I mean, this has been going on. The terrorism has been going on for an awful long time.
Well, it's not only the terrorism, it's a threat of annihilation. I've been speaking about
Well, that's part of the charter of, the Hamas charter is the annihilation.
No, I wasn't talking about Hamas. Hamas is the proxy. Hamas is the cat's paw. Okay, you cut away the cat's paw, but there's still a cat. And the cat could, or tiger, it could devour you. It's Iran. You remember, there's one thing to understand. It's Iran, Iran, Iran. Iran wants to destroy the United States. It's a cult, a death cult, and it says death to America. Israel is merely in their way, okay? They want to conquer the Middle East first. The only country that is fighting Iran in the Middle East is Israel, up to recently. The only country. So we have to eliminate Israel. And in order to do that, they said we either do it through this noose of death or with atomic bombs. And for decades, you've heard me say this because we've known each other for many years. I said the greatest danger facing Israel and America is a fundamentalist Islamic regime with nuclear weapons, because they will be unlike other nuclear powers. They'll use it. And if they have the weapon to destroy Israel, they will. And if they have missiles to carry that weapon here, they will. Could they conceivably bomb American cities? And the answer is yes. That's not likely to happen with other nuclear powers in the world. But that is not true of these fanatics, okay? They see it as a...
Well, you've been saying that. I remember you speaking before the UN a number of years ago. So you've been saying it for year after,
Yes,
year
and now
after,
what took it so long, right?
Yeah, what, I mean, like, yes, was it that the world just wasn't behind you, or didn't feel the threat, or what was it? Well, you're still doing it alone, pretty much, with the United States.
It's worse. I mean, the world, many countries oppose us, including others who thought they could make a deal with Iran. There's one problem with that. They cheat, they lie, and they develop the weapons on the side. And people are supposed to close a blind eye and allow them to do that while paving their way to a nuclear arsenal with billions and billions of dollars, which they use not to build Iran, not for the benefit of the great Iranian people whom they subjugate. They build the terror axis with it. They build ballistic missiles to hit us and ultimately to hit you. So I think that was misconceived. And of course I didn't get support. I got much opposition. And I had to also galvanize opposition within Israel. Galvanize rather support within Israel, because people say, how do you hit Iran? Iran's a big country. I mean, it's a huge country. It's like 90 million people. It's like the size of a good chunk of Europe. It's big. It's got these lethal weapons that they can bomb our cities with. You know, yeah, you have to take out them.
I never thought that way, because, I mean, when you see the sophistication of Israel, when you look at the pagers, I mean, that was a sophisticated operation. I know that Israel's tiny and Iran is big, but, not to make this sound like a game, but you so have outsmarted so many people over the years militarily and in wars that I never saw that as, that the fact that it was big and you were little.
Well, it's also the fact that when you're small, your size, we're bigger than Rhode Island. I can say that. But
it takes 6 minutes to fly across.
4 and a half.
I think you said 6 at the UN, because I remember you said 6 to fly. You said 6 to fly across the United States, 6 minutes across.
6 hours.
6 hours fly across the United States, 6 minutes to fly across.
Okay,
Israel is what you told me.
5 and 5.
5. Okay, good. Well, I'll go back and see who was right.
So Israel is the size of New Jersey. Okay, Israel is the size of New Jersey, and just imagine that somebody says we're going to drop atomic bombs on Newark or Hoboken or whatever, and you're gone. Or we'll bombard you with 20,000 ballistic missiles, each with a ton of TNT. It's like a bus full of TNT comes down from the skies at Mach 8 times the speed of sound. That's terrible devastation. One is terrible devastation. 20,000? It's like 2 atomic bombs. So we could die this way or die that way. It's like having 2 lumps of cancer that are going to kill you. So we had to excise them in time. Does that mean that the cancer can't come back? Of course it can, and you have to make sure it doesn't. But if you don't act, you'll be dead. And that's why we acted. But we acted against this enemy. We had to organize ourselves, in a very sophisticated intel operation, cyber operation, air operation, and many other things that are combined in perhaps the most impressive use of wit and guts that we've seen in a long time. But we had a partner. We had a great partner. That's President Donald Trump.
People think news just happens. It doesn't. It happens because there's someone there to capture the moment, to explain it and share it. That's my job. I go where news breaks and give you the facts. Join me for The Record on Newsmax.